Alright, and we're back. So let's go over the developments in the last phase. In the last phase, we noted several Soviet formations, about 3 regiments, that's 2 tank regiments, and maybe 1 regiment of motor rifles. We've only encountered the first echelon units of the Soviet advanced formations at this time. 1 Soviet regiment is advancing from the very south. There's about, I think, about 84 T-80s, all dead over here. Towards the center here, there's a lot more dead stuff. I didn't really count. But this is where the Soviets are seeing most success. Farther up north, the Soviets haven't seen any success whatsoever. We've denied them this bridge, and we have a formation counterattacking there right now. The Soviet axis of advance have all been given code names in the last stream. Up north, this bridge where the Soviets enter has been given the designation Papa. Towards the center has been given the designation Romeo. As the Soviets have seen little to no success in the south, this one really wasn't that important to receive a designation. We're going to call it Sierra, however. This is also helpful to anyone in the chat who needs to designate these advances. Seems we're already dropping everyone though, so might not be anyone playing at all, just gonna be me. For any of those checking in from the Matrix forums, I'd like to apologize that I couldn't really get this as real time as I could, but the weekend's been very busy for me, and I can only really afford to stream in a few select hours on Sundays, so I can't really give a week's advance warning all the time, because a lot of unexpected events may come across, so at most you'll probably get a 24-hour notice, if not. The most recent situation is that the Soviets have completely blown through in Romeo. They've got at least a tank battalion here, and at least 1 motor rifle division. We've been holding strong, but the city of Nienburg itself, or I guess the town, is now highly contested. We do have reinforcements coming in to secure the center bridges. These are the 2 1,000-point objectives that are important to hold. Further to the north here, we have stopped a Soviet incursion, and we are counterattacking through here as well. We've destroyed at least 2 battalions of Soviet tanks here. There's probably a 3rd coming up if we know the Soviet order of battle that well. As far as we know, they're probably done for after this attack, considering this is probably just a diversion. However, the Soviets have claimed this objective, meaning they are circling around back. So once we've dealt with the last battalion in this sector, we're going to have to rotate back around and go for the retake on Langendam. But our biggest worry right now is securing Romeo. We have 2 platoons of Leopards, that's 7 Leopards, falling back to try and secure this bridge. But they're on deliberate move, meaning they won't be able to move through all these Soviets. They're going to be too careful. As stated before, this is an interactive stream, meaning orders that give to me in the Twitch chat, which I'm actively reading, will also be given by me towards our units. In Flashpoint campaigns, you can give a single platoon orders. You can control every blue square we have. You can give them various orders, whether that is to assault, move, screen, hold an objective, build or blow up a bridge, resupply, whatever. The weather situation right now is that it's the middle of the day. It's about 0837 hours, which is a bit mid-morning. What's not helping us is the light rain here, which restricts visibility to about 2,000 meters. Weather plays a critical part in Flashpoint campaigns as it heavily limits the range at which your units can see things. Even those equipped with thermal optics will have a hard time seeing past 500 meters in very heavy rain conditions. This helps the Soviets as they need a lot of maneuver room, and if we have full visibility, max visibility in this game is usually about 6,500 meters or 6.5 kilometers. If we have that visual all over, then the Soviets won't be able to maneuver much without walking into a kill zone. However, if the visibility is restricted to about 500 meters, then they can walk right through a kill zone without us even seeing them pass. As far as I remember, we've got a Soviet tank battalion here, as well as a motor rifle battalion. Our priority right now is to shut them back out of the city and retake these bridges here. Up north, we have Panzer units already coming back around to secure the bridge at Papa and be ready to defend against the Soviet reserve elements that are expected to be coming in pretty soon. I'm gonna make a quick check here. So I think when we left off, we'd already given all our orders. So to continue this, we just need to hit the start button. But we're going to go over our reinforcements. So we've got another battle group arriving pretty soon. This is going to consist of a company of Leopard 2 tanks. Attached to them is a single platoon of self-propelled anti-tank units. Also attached is a artillery battery, as well as Orkin 1-2, which are the two tornadoes. If we open up their detail panel, which I'm not sure OBS is going to capture, but the panel shows that they're equipped with their inboard cannon, and they have about 400 or 500 kilogram bombs, which are very large bombs. They're night capable, all weather capable, meaning we can use them in any environment no matter how bad the weather gets or what time of the day it is. They're equipped with electronic countermeasures, which helps them somewhat to defend from enemy air defense. A radar warning deceiver, which helps a lot against SAMs. And finally, defensive countermeasures, which allows them to evade fire even if they're launched at. It doesn't work 100% of the time, and usually if you fly your aircraft into areas with heavy anti-aircraft fire, you're going to lose them. But this helps give them a bit of survivability. Aircraft don't last very long in the modern battlefield. "17 minutes after that, we'll be having the Panzer Grenadier Company arriving in, as well as one more battery of Gepard. They'll be coming in and around Estorf as opposed to along the opposite bank of the Visa River, meaning if there are Soviet forces in here, then they'll be just in position to help retake. Withdrawing after 72 minutes is Orkin 3-4, meaning we won't be able to use them anymore, so we have to make as much use as we can in 72 minutes. Their first order has been given to look for Soviet radars around this area. They are a SEAD aircraft. They are loaded with about 4 AGM-88 Harm missiles, which have very long range, very adept at taking out Soviet air defense units. But usually in Flashpoint campaigns, if an air unit comes right on top of an SPA unit like a Shilka or a Tunguska, you're generally going to almost always lose the unit. Whereas gadflies, which are the SA-11, also known in Russia as the 9K-37 Buk, can pretty much shoot across the entire map due to their very long range. And by entire map, I mean a standard map, which is 20 kilometers wide by 15 kilometers high. Since we've given our orders already, we're going to hit the start button. Let's hit the pause button real quick, because we did see a radar flashing here in Longendan, meaning there is a Soviet advance formation in this area. I'm trying to get the BHQ out of there, because they might be looking for that. The GPR is set to be blowing this railway bridge, which is also an objective of the Soviets. If we blow that bridge, they'll either try an amphibious crossing around here, which will take them more time, and allow our reinforcement unit to catch them. Or they may simply travel up the B6 to try and take these two bridges here, which is currently being counterattacked into by, I believe this is the 2nd Company of Panzergrenadier Battalion 32. The action's coming up around here, where a Soviet company is desperately trying to gain some ground. I'm going to expand to the whole battle area so we have a general idea of what's going on. These Leopards are in a very good position, so that single T-80 didn't really stand a chance. Looks like these guys managed to get off of this hex. They're trying to move for the bridge. And everything just arrived at once. Getting hit by artillery again. Ouch. They're maneuvering, so they're going to take casualties from this. Or I guess not. Lucky break. That shot's a miss. We're taking mortar fire here. And finally heavy artillery fire. Got SA-13 Gophers here. We got an infantry unit on the same hex as these SA-13s, as well as the Soviet air defense igloos. These two Milan teams, still being badasses, just took out that Soviet battalion HQ, which should cripple them again. Since they're on the same hex, they're engaged in close quarters combat, where snow holds guard. Here comes our airstrike. We're taking one shot, two shots. That second shot looks like an SA-11 just took down one of our tornadoes. But it looks like at least one of the tornadoes let off one of their arms, or at least two of them, allowing us to claim a single SA-11. We've got Soviet tanks in the town, as well as a battalion unit coming through here. These tanks in a very peculiar setup. Basically, I'm rotating them between these two hexes because any Soviet tank approaching from here cannot see these two platoons in the back. They can see the platoon that's forward. Here comes another airstrike. This appears to be Orkan 1-2. They've taken a hit from a Tunguska missile. The SA-11s are now shooting at it. And that's going to get him too. We never called for that airstrike, but the AI's FSCC, don't remember what that stands for right now, gave them the order to commit the airstrike. So that's one of the disadvantages of having that turned on, is sometimes the AI will call for stupid airstrikes that you don't want. And our main HQ is taking artillery fire again. So the counterattack here is succeeding. These guys haven't taken any losses so far, and they're pummeling this T-80 company. It's curious how they're not taking any shots at our Leopards here in the town. At ranges this close, the T-80s, with their numerical superiority, should have the advantage. Looks like our third conf group has arrived. And another artillery phase. Whew. That's unfortunate. That's a BM-21 strike that's definitely going to kill something. Fortunately, we only lost one Gepard. Another curious thing, our units launching anti-tank guided missiles at infantry. So another T-80 taken out. Finally took out that single man pad which was contesting the hex. We now claim that VP point. Alright, HQ's taking artillery again. Cross your fingers. And he's okay. Welcome back, Captain Darwin. Yeah, I understood that. But sometimes they're launched out even when they're walking in a field. Looks like we did lose this martyr here. I think that happened a long time ago. So we've got a single Panzer Grenadier unit here who isn't really doing anything. Since it's just him, we're going to send him to investigate the 750 point here. I think the Soviet presence here is mostly done for. I'm going to check his kills. They've got none. But the way we have these tanks set up is we've got these two hexes here. This one back in Lindsberg, and this one that is in the forward area. So the Soviet battalion was first seen coming from here and is expected to advance from this wood line. In doing so, they'd be able to spot this forward platoon, which would also be providing fire across this whole field. They wouldn't be able to see two platoons back here. Unit effectiveness is governed by their readiness, their ammunition, and their morale. Readiness affects things like how fast a unit responds to orders as well as its accuracy. I'm not sure exactly what else it does. Alright, see you, Darwin. But we can restore these levels by either letting the unit wait or by giving it a resupply order. The resupply order is also the only way to give it additional ammunition. Resupply is one of the orders you can give it in the drop-down menu, which OBS isn't capturing, so I can't show it to you. It's one of the things that made Shadowplay better. This unit only has 65 ammunition, as Soviet tanks have been up here, meaning they have been shooting from here. But he's got good readiness. This unit is out of ammunition and has only 58% readiness. Going to make them rather ineffective in combat, so we're going to fall him back. And there's another menu here that you probably can't see. We have three choices. We can tell him to dig in, we can tell him to screen, which readies him to move again, or we can give him a resupply order. We're going to give him a resupply order, because that's the safe spot over there. The units here, which have completed their resupply, will move back into this hex, and will once again be in the kill zone. So, as Darwin did note, this is a rather large kill zone. We're going to tally up how many tanks we've got killed here by taking every unit here. We know we haven't fired any artillery into here because there's no craters that are ours, at least. There are Soviet artillery craters here. So we've got one T-80 and two BMP KSH command vehicles. We've got these two badass Milan teams which have killed a lot of units. They're down to just their single Panzer Grenadier ATGM, which is a Panzer Grenadier squad which has one guy mounting a Milan 2 instead of an RPG. These units lost all their carriers and their other squads in Soviet artillery attacks as they were deployed to this location, but leaving just their ATGMs. They have a very small profile, high accuracy. So we're going to go back to counting. We got one tank and two BMPs. 17 tanks and 3 BMPs. 28 tanks and 5 BMPs. Did I say 28? Yeah. $50 tanks and 7 BMPs, as well as 3 Tunguskas. $74 tanks, 5 Recon units, 2 infantry HQs. Sorry, that's 9 BMPs and 1 Tunguska. So 4 Tunguskas in total. Not very fast with math. But we've got a grand total of 93 T-80s taken out, 11 BMPs, 8 air defense units, which would be 4 Tunguskas and 4 Strela 10M, and I think 7 Recon units. Based on the order of battle, which typically has a tank regiment with about 90 tanks in a tank division at least. We've got 30 tanks per battalion, and then finally the battalion HQ itself, so 31 per battalion. 3 battalions should be 93. So we have claimed the entire regiment then, meaning this sector is now clear. So we're going to belay that resupply order. We're going to tell everyone here to resupply and gear up to redeploy towards Langendam. There are no more Soviet defenses that can come here. Every single thing here is the entire dead regiment. Except for this unit, which is already resupplied. We're just sending them as a Ford Recon. We're going to replace them with this Jeep, so we can get some further information. So at this point, you're probably watching a recording. Based on the stream statistics, no one's watching this video right now, so it's going to be just me playing. Meaning I'm responsible for all the orders and decisions. Our HQ doesn't need a resupply. Neither does this HQ. And neither does this HQ. But our combat units do need to. This helo, I think we're going to redeploy him just over this hill. The only thing that can threaten them are the SA-11s here, so we're not going to put him up on this hill. We're just going to put him in Borstal itself. Get some eyes on the Soviet HQ here. Our air power is pretty much useless now. We've given this Jeep screen orders, so if he sees anything, he's going to immediately back off. We're going to check the VPs. We've got a claimed kills worth of about 16,000 points. The Soviet force is estimated at 27,000 points. So we've got just a bit over half of the Soviet force destroyed right now. In comparison, our force is about 14,000 points, and the Soviets have claimed about 3,000 points. So we've still got a significant fraction of our force remaining. Up north, these Leopard 2s have completed their resupply orders, so we're going to move them back onto these points, as these guys do not see anything here. So we're going to reoccupy this hillside, giving us again the high ground and vision over a potential kill zone here. These 2 tanks are about to arrive in position, giving them a kill zone position, and this HQ will arrive here, at which point it will immediately resupply. We're going to give them all hold orders. You'll notice these platoons only have 3 tanks in them. This is not because the platoon is organically 3 tanks, it's because they have all lost 1 Leopard each. Don't see much we can do with our mortars right now other than target these man pads. I don't think I see any other Soviet units right now. Most of their force has been spent trying to make the initial take, and I'm still expecting there's a significant chunk of Soviet units here. So when they show up, that's probably going to be a battalion-sized element or larger. This bridge here has been successfully destroyed, so we're going to follow this Jeep back. We're going to retreat him into the woods until we need him again. We're giving him the resupply order. My mouth is dry. I hate talking for this long. So it looks like this unit is holding steady. Let's make a quick check at how many orders we have. We've spent 13 of the 25 orders we're allowed to give this phase. So based on some math, that gives us about 12 orders to work with. Here we have about, let's do some counting. We've got 11 units here, so we can only give 11 orders. So we've got one order that can be bequeathed to any of the units here. We're going to do that to give this unit a resupply order, because they've only got 15% readiness and 31% ammo, meaning any action they take will mostly be in vain. I'm going to have to leave these mortars on call, as well as our artillery. So this Jeep is sitting on a victory point hex, which I think is worth about 500 points, perhaps, probably. Leaving there's about 1,000 points here, as well as the 1,000 point marker here in the Altstadt. The Soviet battalion here is likely going for that Altstadt bridge. They may either try an amphibious crossing here now that the bridge is gone, or go along the B6. This 1,000 point objective they've already claimed. We're going to be taking that back pretty soon, though. They're not going to have that for long. Not exactly sure what to do with them right now. I might position them to help in the Langendam take, but I can't really advance them past the stream. And because there's heavy cover here, I can't really form a kill zone here either. So I may simply hold them in reserve, actually, instead of giving them orders. I'll order them all into this little woodline bluff here and tell them all to resupply. Keep the Leopard close in case those Soviet MiGs are still around, or if Soviet helicopters potentially show up, which would be very unfortunate indeed. Instead of resupplying them, we're going to tell them to screen. I'm going to rotate all these hexes to bring up the Leopards and the AT platoon. There is a potential kill zone area I found here, which is basically these 3 hexes, which should allow us to cover some of the B6 and some of the Soviet maneuvers coming out of Langendam. So we'll move the Leopards into there and give them screen orders. Typically I'll only give them hold orders if I'm happy with where they are already. But I'm almost immediately going to be moving these guys, so they're getting screen orders. I think that's everyone except for the anti-tank platoon. We're going to move them into the city proper. I think that is all 25 orders we're allowed to give this phase, so we're going to hit the start button right away and get the ball rolling again. Since Sierra is taken care of, we only need to worry about Papa and Romeo right now. last we saw in Papa, there's a single Soviet tank company as well as a headquarters unit coming here. That may indicate an entire battalion coming along this axis. And here in Romeo is still the main threat. We can't see anything here though, which is a big concern, so we've got to get units on that right away. You can see from all the hexes here, we don't have a single unit that has eyes on this valley, so the Soviets are probably moving large elements through here without us even noticing them. As expected, we've got a Soviet tank battalion here as well as a motor rifle battalion. Turns out there's nothing in Papa at all. Might be able to go for the retake pretty easily there. But now our tanks have good shots on pretty much everything that comes through Romeo. Since there's no more combat action here, I'm going to zoom in over here. Get you guys a better view of what's going on in the center. I'm also noticing that we're encountering lag, so I'm going to quickly restart the game after this orders phase, which is going to last 17 minutes in game time. Probably about twice that in real time. You can see how much longer the artillery animation takes to play now. So every BMP that dies, as long as this BMP icon shows up, will kill the infantry squad inside it as well, because that indicates that the squad is mounted. So once the BMP is taken out, the squad inside will also die. They're absolutely gunning for these bridges. The unit that was in Langendam is now moving up to the barracks, so it's probably this motor rifle unit here. We're back to day conditions, which will give us a wide view of the valley. And everything is showing up. At this point here, we've got lightly armored BMPs versus Leopard tanks with 120mm cannons, so we're expecting a turkey shoot here. Oh, where's that landing? Wherever it was, it looks like it missed. So the Tunguska battery's right here. Normally, in the next phase, we'd immediately send our artillery to engage it, but that's not going to be worthwhile anymore since we've lost all our air units. Instead, we're going to try and thin out these motor rifle companies as much as we can. They're going to be stuck there for a while as they're attempting an amphibious crossing, or at least attempting to re-establish the bridge that was destroyed here earlier. Looks like we got a platoon of SA-13s here. Free points mostly. They can't really do anything to our ground forces. Finally finished off that NSV. Really don't know where that artillery's falling. We have found enemy artillery units. Jeeps have eyes on them. Looks like we're gunning up for a full infantry battle here. We're going to have BMP companies running right up against platoons of martyrs. In close, they have the numbers advantage, which will help them quite a lot, but we've got a superior defensive position, better support, and their readiness should be trashed from taking the shots from the Leopards earlier. Meaning they should be disorganized, and their morale should be somewhat broken. Ouch. We've lost the Leopard. And we're losing Panzer Grenadiers. They lost their ATGM unit too, which is not good at all. But fortunately, those martyrs are equipped with ATGMs on the martyr themselves, so they still have some effect at range. Main push is heading right for the marker in the Altstadt. So it looks like what happened here is Soviet air defense units were engaging this helicopter, which allowed them to also drop artillery, and seems they also dropped smoke on it for some reason. Don't know why they do that, but they just did. So we still have 25 orders this phase, which is good. We see Soviet artillery elements here, as well as VPs they have claimed. We know that the Soviets should not have much left here other than BMPs. So what I'm thinking I could do is that I'm actually going to take my tanks and roll them through where this battalion or regiment came through. This is a whole dead regiment here. That allows us to seize these VPs in the back and also take out Soviet artillery elements on the ground, which will greatly reduce the burden on our own troops. However, to do that, I'm going to have to reestablish this bridge. We're going to task these jeeps with that. They'll arrive there at 0938 hours. It's 0922 hours right now. So that should happen within the next orders phase. These guys are resupplied, so we'll move them right in here. It does not appear that the Soviets are attempting to make a crossing up here in the north. got Soviet units clustered around here. There's probably a unit holding this objective, so we're not going to risk this HQ unit. We're instead going to bring them down here and get eyes on this objective, where they have likely vacated by now. And we can also see the Soviets did not make any moves here. Instead, we're actually going to reverse the decision we made earlier and re-establish this bridge. Probably should not have blown it in the first place, but precaution's a precaution. So these guys have 11% readiness, 25% ammo, low morale. So even though this unit isn't dead, it's still got 2 Leopards. These 2 Leopards can't really do anything. So using heavy artillery fire and just having a unit fighting for too long can effectively kill a unit without actually killing it. Since the Soviets are seemingly interested in stacking their companies up over here, we're going to order pretty much all of our artillery and our mortars to strike it. That's 3 neutralizing fire barrages for each one of them. Actually, I'm going to leave that to the mortars. These 2 batteries, I'm going to have them firing counter battery missions at these 2 artillery batteries first. M109. I believe these are the A3 variants. Yeah, A3G. Fires a 155mm shell. More than enough to take out the 2S1, which has the light armor. They are scooting though, so we're gonna have the last waypoint set to where their destination is, just in case they displace, so they don't waste all their ammunition. Alright, because these guys spent their readiness pretty fast, so we're gonna resupply since there's no more combat action up here. These guys are going to be moving in pretty soon, I believe. Oh, it's not going to be until 0951. And what the hell happened to his readiness? So we're going to cancel his move order and tell him to resupply. But these guys, this guy will be there at 0928, which is going to be within 6 minutes. This guy is 0939, which will also be within the next orders phase. So it's safe for us to resupply them because these units will be there pretty soon afterwards. This guy, I'm going to tell him to quickly flip this point. Didn't mean to click on him again and trigger this menu that you can't see. But we have more than enough orders. And we'll finally tell him to resupply when he gets back to the hill. This AT unit has 67% readiness and half of his ammo load, so we're going to tell him to resupply as well. But once all these tanks are done resupplying, we're going to cross this bridge here, take this VP, kill any HQs and artillery we find, take the rest of these VPs and come back down to this bridge, reestablish that bridge, and get back to where we started, back in Longendam. It's an ambitious plan. We have 7 hours to do it, plenty of time, so we should be able to complete that objective. I'm not expecting to run into much resistance aside from a motor rifle battalion. But if it's successful, it should completely cripple the Soviet formation, especially if we take this unit out, which is probably a divisional HQ. If we take that out, the 12th Guards Tank Division will be headless. So, I think, I'm not sure what else here. You could tell these units to move up. No point. Once this bridge is back up and these guys are done resupplying, I'm probably going to tell them to move back in the long and down and take that back. And also maybe make a move on this bridge. But I'm pretty satisfied with what we have. The FSCC told these two tornadoes to strike these man pads, but they're going to go through the Tunguska battery, which is probably here. Probably going to die in the process as well, but I'm past the point of caring about them. I'm going to save the game here. And restart it. And we're back. Without further ado, let's hit the start button. It's a close quarters fight now, meaning our mortars are either not going to hit anything or they're going to land danger close. Whoever retreats first is a loser. Damn, those two S1s did scoop before any fires came in. So did they. We don't have eyes on them anymore, meaning both those M109 shots are going to miss. We've got T-80 company here. These Gepards are probably all going to die. I'm probably definitely going to send this unit for a retake against the Saya barracks. Probably, definitely. There's our danger close fire missions coming in. And there's a Soviet fire mission coming in. Looks like they moved into where I called those earlier coordinates, however. Which is good for us. So that's definitely not going to kill them, but it is going to hurt their readiness. Our counter battery fires are coming in now, but they're both going to miss because the two S1s scooted before we could hit them. There's the big reveal. They've still got motor rifle units in long and but that seems to be it. They're no match for Leopard 2s so long as they're maneuvering. Here comes our tornado. Takes an SA-11 shot and hits the Tunguskas with its harm missiles. Let's see how many we kill. Just one. As you saw, the... Oh, looks like they're attempting a bridge crossing here. So they're going to come through and swing right past this church. That looks like a mortar battery. We're going to want to hit that with our own artillery. The Soviets dropped smoke on that for some reason. Pretty counterintuitive, because I'm trying to rebuild that bridge. BM-21 strike hits one of our Panzer Grenadier platoons. Deadly, as usual. We've only lost one squad, though, which is good news. Looks like they're all going for an amphibious crossing right through here. They're not even going to bother with these objectives. They're just gunning straight for the bridges. We've got another T-80 company stacked on, and it takes a hit from our M109s. Oh, sorry, that's a BMP unit. 2 BMPs are taken out, and the tanks lose even more readiness. An additional BMP unit squad is dead. Two more BMPs and their squads are down. Second round of counter battery fire is hitting here, but it's hitting nothing. We've got tanks on this hex now. We've lost our ATGM unit, but they will be of limited effectiveness in close quarters combat. Right now, that's pretty much a knife fight. HQ here is fully resupplied, which improves our command cycle and allows that company to respond to orders faster. The Tunguskas have crossed the river. They've probably put a bridge here, and these T-80s are also crossed now, so we've got even more units here. Seems like they're throwing everything they've got at this southern bridge crossing. Got a danger close fire mission. Looks like it was fired by the Soviets. Team killing at least one BMP. Oh, that's a Recon unit. So that's what was up. Oh no. We lost another martyr. The Soviets have too many units here. I'm pretty sure they're going to take this bank here. Meaning we're going to have to fall some more units back here and just slam them with artillery. This Panzer Grenadier company is resupplying right now. We're probably going to task them with assaulting that objective. Whereas the tanks will cross the stream into Langendam and come around the back. While that artillery is landing there, we're going to check out this Jeep and see what's going on with him. Here's our more counter battery fire. Let's hope it's accurate this time. And it is. We've claimed one secondary explosion there. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 4 secondary explosions there, meaning that should be 4 2S1s taken out. We've reduced the Soviet artillery from probably 100 to by just 5 artillery pieces, so it's not a big dent in them, but it's something. It means that battery will be much less effective when it fires additional missions in the future. Taking out a Soviet mortar. Taking out another one. They're in full view of our unit here, so they should have no problem just wailing on it. Interestingly, we've got another Soviet mortar battery here. They're probably immediately going to die. These ones are already bugging out. Got another danger close mission fired by the Soviets at this hex. Finishes off that mortar battery down there. And this one's probably down to 2, 3, maybe even 1. That ends the orders phase. Alright. So we've got at least a T-80 battalion here and a BMP battalion. All we have holding on that side of the river is a single platoon of martyrs. But we do have a battalion, mixed Leopards and martyrs, which are almost ready to go and will be pushing back up along this church and the Rathaus. Bridge here is almost reestablished. Let's check out what's going on with this Jeep. I know I ordered them into this hex. It says they're going to be arriving there at 0943, but that's a lie because it says their next action is at 049. I mean, they're going to be later than what the waypoint editor is saying they're going to be. These tanks are ready to go, so we're going to give them their orders. These two Milan teams, I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with them. They can't maneuver because they're on foot now. Best I can do is send them back to these two axes here and just have them hold them solo. Or I could just get them much needed rest. They'll just stay sentry there. If you tell a unit to move across an obstacle, it will automatically build a bridge for you. So we're just going to give the tanks the order to move across. We're unfortunately not going to have any forward recon except for what these helicopters can provide. We'll adjust their waypoint to get eyes on this area. So we can either go for the artillery here in these two objective points, or we can take up the division HQ responsible for the entire Soviet force. I'd be loath to divide the whole the whole Leopard company, but I probably can thin them out just along this road. So that's what we'll go with then. I think I'll go with a platoon here, another platoon here, and finally one here in Venden, and the HQ will end up here. So let's give them their orders. They're probably all resupplied by now. We're actually going to want them to be going as fast as they can, so we're going to give them assault orders. Tell them to hold once they get to their destinations. Meaning it's going to be a long time before they start moving, however. Lastly, the HQ will just be told to resupply. So we're going to turn off all paths here and see which units are going where. Since it seems they don't want to use this destroyed bridge, we're just going to reposition the marker. So if this attack is successful, we'll knock out a 2S1 artillery battalion here. We'll reclaim these 2 points. And we have a potential of destroying the Soviet divisional HQ, which will completely cripple them for the rest of the game. Up north here, I'm still having this platoon set to flip that point and come back, which will be completed within the next order phase. However, looking at these guys, it's telling me they're not going to be there until 11:47 hours. It's 0943 hours right now, meaning it's going to be up to 2 hours before they reach their destinations. In fact, it looks like it's going to be 1 hour before they even start moving, because assaults do take a long time to prepare for. Since I'm expecting minimal resistance and speed will be an asset, that's why I'm giving them assault over deliberate moves. When you give a unit an assault order, it is more exposed to enemy fire, meaning they will take more damage from enemy attacks in game terms, but the trade-offs are that, yeah, it goes faster and it will try to drive over or onto enemy hexes. With the other movement types, hasty and deliberate movement, they will not attempt to enter the same hex as an enemy unit. They will simply just get really close to it, but they will never move directly onto it. As these Soviet units have moved on to my platoon hexes here, they are all using assault orders. These Leopards are pretty much ready to maneuver, but I'm going to need more Recon, so I'm sending these Jeeps there as well as this single Panzer Grenadier squad. And it's also saying it's going to be 3 hours before he even gets there, so what the heck is the point of that? I think we're just going to give him some R&R too. There's no point in moving him. This whole company is pretty much done for. They lost all their mechanization in the early phases of the game. We don't want our HQ stacking, because then it's going to take just 1 artillery strike to put them out of action. But since we don't know where the Soviet artillery is now, we can instead focus all of our artillery to just pummel the hell out of everything the Soviets have here. I'm going to stop them from scooting. I'm going to go for platoon shocks, which is when you order every single artillery unit to engage a single hex at once. It's a term I came up with, of course. That's not official. And they're going to strike each target in sequence. So what platoon shocking does is, because you have about 5 or as how many artillery units as you have, when you have them all hitting the exact same hex, that is so much readiness drops and so much fire being laid down on a target, you can effectively kill the unit without actually killing any units. So it's very effective against static targets, not so much against maneuvering targets that can just simply avoid the strike. But these units are probably not going anywhere anytime soon, because they're attempting to move into this hex, which is already full of units. But effectively disabling them will allow me to roll my own units up here and take the points back without much of a fight. The Soviets have lost almost all their mortar support here, meaning they've only got artillery support in the rear, which is also the objective of these tanks. These units up here are just resupplying. I don't see anything moving near Papa. I'm tempted to move a jeep across the stream here and see what I can find. We don't have any helicopters left here. They were taken out by the Tunguska fire earlier. I'm going to do that. We'll order this jeep to cross the stream here. Actually, there's a bridge the Soviets built here earlier. We're going to check out what's in Sonnenborstel. So that's Sonnenborstel. Got a bit lazy with the pronunciation. See if it's faster if we tell them to just use this bridge. It is. And if we tell them to use that road, is it even faster? Yes, it is. They're given deliberate orders and they're being told to screen, so if they run into anything along this road, they'll just back off. If they don't get killed on the first shot, of course. Everything is all clear up here. We've basically got a lot of tanks. They're just sitting around. Gonna want to do something with them sometime soon. We have about 7 hours left still, giving us plenty of time to maneuver and counterattack. I'm still expecting a Soviet reserve element somewhere, but for the most part they're spent other than their main attack over here. So my focus will be on just containing this assault and effectively encircling them by taking back Langendam with this unit and taking all these points with this Leopard company. So let's see how long it's going to take for that bridge to get back up. Next action is at 0952 hours. It's 0943 right now. So within the next order phase, we have 21 minutes. They will have that bridge back up, meaning I should probably order all these Leopards to move across into Langendam, reclaim Clausewitz-Kasten, and cut off this B6 highway junction here, as well as this road. Let's give them those orders. We've got improvised positions over there as well. They're trying to route around the destroyed bridge right now, but once it's rebuilt, they'll just go straight through. The AI checks to see if it's taking the most optimum route. Finally, I'll move these Gepards up to Overwatch over here. And this AT platoon will, not exactly sure what to do with him. We'll put him right into this hex here for now. Pretty low on ammo though, so we're actually going to tell him to resupply. And finally, the HQ unit. Should be able to command them from the other bank of the stream, but we're going to just move them back here and then tell them to resupply. So all is well there. Since we spent so long giving our orders, we're going to just quickly save the game and restart it, just to make sure we don't run into lag in the next phase. Let's get the ball rolling. I'm fully expecting to lose this mortar platoon north of the Rathaus in the Altstadt, but they're doing their job right now, holding up these Soviet forces and limiting their maneuver room. So as long as that platoon is still alive, that Soviet battalion isn't really going to be going anywhere. Giving my forces time to resupply and move on to them. Bad news is that these guys bugged out, meaning all these units that I was ordering to Artichoke earlier are instead going to just avoid the strike. BM-21s are hitting our AT platoon that's resupplying here, and luckily they didn't take any damage. That is thanks to their good urban positioning. Soviet tank company moved into there, and they don't seem to be maneuvering, so hopefully they're going to get hit by the Artichoke. SA-11 is taking shots at our helicopters here. Why aren't you flying up to the earth, buddy? Here comes the Artichoke. So that's going to be 5 artillery units, 5 batteries of M109s, and 2 batteries of, I believe these are M106. Oh, sorry, they're 120mm mortars. That's a lot of firepower coming onto this one hex, meaning that tank company will have its readiness dropped to the point where it will probably not be capable of combat. If there's some of you who think that sounds unrealistic, it's really not. Reason for that being that artillery has an intense psychological effect on the crew of tanks. It also does heavy damage to outside equipment like communications. It hurts communications a lot. If a unit can't communicate, it often has no idea what the hell's going on. And if it has no idea what the hell's going on, then it can't really fight effectively either. It's going to force them to close the shielding on their optics to just avoid them being destroyed by shrapnel. Our seed unit just left, but who really cares about that? We've got another motor rifle company over here, so yeah, they definitely do have an element here going for this bridge. But that also means they're leaving here, so there'll be nothing standing in the way of my Leopards. This platoon has just bugged out, so the Soviets have secured this Altstadt objective, and they're probably going to try and spread out to other objectives now. They really got a hate boner for this anti-tank unit. We've got artillery firing everywhere, including enemy danger close missions. Next up, they're probably going to try and move on to this hex here, and to secure the 2,000 point objective up here. Second Artichoke is only hitting an anti-air platoon, which is just SA-18, so for those who don't know, SA-18 is just an Igla man pad. You may have used them in Battlefield 3 or whatever. So they're not really accomplishing much by hitting this hex. One long distance shot finishes off that mortar unit. We've got eyes on another Soviet 2S1 battery here, thanks to these Jeeps and the helos. We've also got eyes on a that's an SA-11 battery. Gonna want to get rid of them. Oh no, our mortar is receiving counter battery fire. You generally get that if you fire too many missions in one phase. Fortunately, they didn't take any casualties from it. However, this Panzer Grenadier unit did. Another danger close mission. Despite being a frontline unit, it's amazing they haven't taken any casualties yet. The actual heck are the Soviets shooting at here? I don't have any units there. Third arty shot comes in, and unfortunately looks like it's only gonna hit Tunguska's. Two of them are killed. Third goes down, and all the Tunguskas are destroyed, leaving just the BMP KSH command vehicle. Our whole Panzer Grenadier Company here has finally been fully resupplied, so they should be able to move pretty soon. You'll also know that the R&W tab has disappeared. This means we have no more reinforcements and no more units are withdrawing from the field. There's their first casualty. Those T-80s are going to be a problem. So now the situation is that our most compromised sector is still Romeo. We've got another motor rifle unit moving in here. They're likely coming in just to hold down this objective and not go anywhere else, because if they try to move it into here, they'll just get destroyed by my Leopards. Since this guy's completed his resupply, we're going to move up. These guys have both completed their resupply, but they still have very low readiness, so I wonder what's up with that. We're going to tell them to resupply again. When they're done that, they'll move into the rail station here to help deal with the Soviet tanks. One of our batteries is resupplying right now, so he can't provide any more support. Meaning we can't really pull off an artillery shock. Oh, we've also lost a mortar here, unfortunately. Or no, we just lost their directing vehicle. Yeah, we did. So we're not going to be doing any more artillery shocks this phase. Tell them to build that bridge back up. What we can do with this unit, though, is let's see if we have eyes. Or range, that is, on these gadflies. They don't, unfortunately. Everything there is out of reach, so I don't see any other priority targets we could hit right now. All I could see is the option to smoke up our own forces, which will obstruct the view of the Soviets. Let's open up the intel briefing window and find out what's going on. So Group 3 is where that motor rifle company was. Group 1 is where that artillery unit was. Group 6 is where we saw air defense units. Group 5 is where the Soviet Divisional HQ is, according to Signals Intelligence, or SIGINT. Groups 4 and 2 are where the main Soviet combat force is right now. We're going to take a wild guess and say that the Soviet 2S1s are here, here, or here. I'm neutralizing fire on every one of those hexes. These guys still haven't moved. What's going on here? I'm actually going to tell him to stay on that point when he gets there. Oh, never mind, there is a bridge there, so... Because now I'm thinking I can just counterattack in as a Sonnenborstel now that there's pretty much nothing here. I'm still expecting at least one more tank unit coming out of here, which is why I'm sending that jeep ahead. But if we find that there's nothing, then we'll be free to counterattack. Again, the main concern is over here. This Panzer Grenadier Company is now ready to move. We're going to tell them to make a deliberate sweep up through here to reclaim this bridge objective. We'll tell them to dismount from their vehicles at about 3 hexes so that their infantry doesn't die when the carriers are taken out. Or maybe I should be wanting to give those assault orders, I'm not sure. I don't think as NATO we want to get our units in close quarters. The only standoff fight we're going to lose really is against tanks. And they do have a lot of tanks there, but I don't want to... Because another thing assaulting does is that it reduces the unit's readiness every time it moves in an assault, so... I don't want to kill the readiness that we just all got back. But speed is of the essence, so we're actually going to go for the assault. And I want to get right on top of these units too, so that our Panzer Grenadier units with their RPGs will be able to do heavy damage to tanks and take a lot of fire in the process. So we've got them dismount at range 3, so they'll dismount about over here. Let's actually drop it to 2. We're going to stack onto that objective, just to make sure we have as much bodies on it as we can get. And finally, the last platoon will try and get onto Zaya Barracks, where there's also a improved position to hold. Finally, the HQ will just move over here. Not really a combat unit. Tanks all have their orders to cross the stream here with the established bridge. They'll probably be there earlier than 11:08. I also think this is the last orders phase I'm gonna roll with, and then I'm done for the night. Got a lot of stuff coming in, including Easter dinner. Speaking of which, happy Easter to everyone who's watching. Okay, let's kick this thing off, and then we're done. Light rain kicks in, which allows us to maneuver more, but it also restricts our visibility. We will have the advantage because we have thermal optics, so we can see while the Soviets can't really see us. BM-21 strike hits our main HQ again. That's bad news. Ouch. We've only lost one of our MGs, it seems. Artillery's really pounding the other bank of the Visa River now. Seems like they're going to be very eager to cross. Since I have the bulk of my force across now, I probably should have blown those bridges already, but I've been late to the party on that one. Another poor HQ unit. It's just going to get taken out by this big line of Leopards I have here. There's our first guest shot from the M109s. And we're on target. We've claimed one secondary explosion, probably an artillery unit. Last poor Jeeps, they didn't ask for any of this. That's our tank battalion HQ. We do not want them getting killed by artillery. But they're going to take a hit anyway. Both of their martyrs went down. We'll have to tell them to scoot and then resupply shortly afterward. Oh, that's a big hit on us. Those two tank platoons will lose a lot of readiness. Or that's just the one tank platoon in the AT. So these guys, these SA-13s are giving eyes on them so the Soviets will know where to send their artillery. We don't want too many of those, otherwise we'll be ineffective when we go for the retake. And that HQ unit is finished off, slowing down the Soviets' response time. Our AT platoon fully resupplied, which is good, meaning they can join the combat once again. There's our second guest shot. On target again. That's another 2S1 down. Yeah, these guys didn't really do anything. They just got removed by those T-80s. And our AT platoon, which just resupplied, is then immediately hit by artillery. Don't take any casualties. And our tank platoons are taking more hits from artillery too, which is also unfortunate. But no casualties again. And that unit is bugging out, meaning this bridge will not be vulnerable. Another HQ unit shows up here and just dies. We now have heavy rain conditions, reducing the visibility to 500 meters, even for us with our thermal optics, meaning no one can see jack shit right now unless they're in very close ranges like these units all are. Third guest shot doesn't claim anything. But the enemy artillery is always on target. Our Leopards are moving across the stream now and should be in Long and Down shortly. SA-11 radar and their missiles work even in bad weather conditions. And we lose our last helicopter as well as our last air unit in the whole game. Probably should have backed them off earlier. So I think that's all for tonight. We've got about quite a few order phases down. We have 6 hours remaining out of a total of 12. If we look at the VPs right now, we have 17,500 Soviet units dead out of a total of 27,000, so they still have the bulk of their force on the map. We have 14,000 points, of which the Soviets have claimed 3,500. But we still have a much bigger chunk of our force than they do proportionally. We're gonna wait down until they get to about even levels of units. The Soviets cannot really make any moves when they have the same amount of forces as we do. So here's the debriefing. We have a Leopard company that's getting ready to move into these towns over here. Only their own exploits are gonna give us any Sorry, I'm actually getting really sleepy. But if they're successful, they'll destroy an artillery battalion here, the Soviet divisional HQ, and claim these 3 points, which will force the Soviets to react. This Leopard company here is going back for the retake on Langendam. If successful, they'll claim these 2 VPs, as well as cut off the Soviet force here and completely surround them. I'm planning to do another offensive up here, which will send these tanks careening into Sonnenborstel. If that's successful, they'll reclaim this 750 point and this 500 point, as well as cut off any future Soviet advance. Our final worry is there's still a significant chunk of Soviet forces there, but we have a Panzergrenadier company moving in to retake the positions. All of our artillery is resupplying, our mortars are resupplying. Overall, I'd say this battle is actually going very well. And we're starting our counteroffensive phase soon. So we probably should be able to win this quite handily. We're going to press F2 and bring up the summary. We have 73% of all the VPs, which gives us a tactical success. If we retake those points and kill some Soviet units, they'll probably send us over the 80% marker to claim a decisive success. Our reported kills and claims tab shows that at this point we have 449 Soviet units destroyed. It's not showing me how many units of ours are destroyed, but we have 61 units that are fallen out of the 236 we still have alive. In fact, the staff summary report says we still have 3/4 of all of our units. So we're in a much better shape than the Soviets are right now. Looks like our MVP unit right now is still yeah, it's still that one platoon down in the south here. There's still the MVP unit. But other than that, the next time I stream this, we'll probably have our counterattack underway. We'll deal with the remnants of the Soviet force here, see what they have in this whole unexplored quarter of the map, and get to dealing with it. So that's enough for today. Thanks for watching. If you're watching a recording of this, still thanks for watching, I guess. Sorry you couldn't see the stream, but everyone's busy this holiday, this weekend. I certainly am, so no hard feelings there. That's all I have, so see you all.